In today's documentary, we take you inside the high-stakes, high-tech and high-low race shaping our planet's future, the green tech race between the United States and China. A rivalry that could define not only who leads in clean energy but who shapes the entire global economy for decades to come. Over the last 20 years, China has transformed itself into a green tech superpower, building the world's largest solar panel industry, dominating global battery production, and becoming the top exporter of wind turbines and electric vehicles. In 2022 alone, China accounted for over 80% of the world's solar cell manufacturing and more than half of global EV sales, while also leading in refining critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements essential for the green transition. But why did this happen? It starts in the early 2000s, when China saw clean energy not just as an environmental need, but as an industrial opportunity, pouring billions into subsidies, tax breaks, and infrastructure to support factories and research. Meanwhile, Western countries debated climate policy but often hesitated to match China's aggressive industrial strategy. This imbalance allowed Chinese firms like CATL, BYD, LONGi, Green Energy, and Goldwind to scale up, cut costs, and outcompete rivals. But by the late 2010s, alarm bells rang in Washington and Brussels. Dependence on Chinese green tech could mean strategic vulnerability. Enter the United States response. First, under President Trump, tariffs on Chinese solar panels and equipment aiming to revive local production. Then, under President Biden, a more comprehensive push through the $369 billion Inflation Reduction Act (IRA), offering tax credits for domestic manufacturing of batteries, solar modules, wind turbines, and electric cars. Suddenly, a new industrial policy was born. Build factories at home, secure supply chains, and challenge China's lead. Yet the challenge is massive. China's scale advantage took decades to build, supported by entire cities dedicated to single industries, a vast pool of engineers, and a willingness to tolerate overcapacity until global competitors dropped out. But the US has its strengths too. World-leading research universities, innovation in battery chemistry, and software-driven energy technologies. In this documentary, we explore both sides of this race. China's state-driven model, where local governments compete to host factories, provide cheap land and loans, and fast-track permits, versus the US market-driven model, now turbocharged by targeted subsidies and growing bipartisan political will to reduce reliance on Chinese imports. We look at flagship projects: China's 200-plus gigawatt battery plants, Tesla's Gigafactory in Nevada, Ford's new battery park in Michigan, and BYD's plan to build overseas to bypass tariffs. We also trace the raw materials story. China refines 60% of the world's lithium and over 70% of cobalt, controlling key choke points even when mining happens abroad. The US and allies are trying to catch up, investing in new mines in Australia, Canada, and even opening once shuttered mines at home, while recycling old batteries to recover critical minerals. The race is also geopolitical. Both countries see green tech not just as climate policy, but as industrial strategy and national security. A future powered by solar, wind, and batteries means whoever controls those supply chains can shape global trade, influence allies, and create millions of high-paying jobs. Yet there's also an environmental paradox. Building green tech itself requires energy, often from fossil fuels. Mining for minerals can damage ecosystems, and scaling up recycling remains costly and technically challenging. Beyond the numbers, we dive into human stories. Engineers in China designing next-gen sodium-ion batteries, US startups trying to cut costs with new solid-state battery designs, workers retraining to build EV components instead of combustion engines. We explore how Europe fits in, caught between the US and China, but also investing in its own green manufacturing with policies like the EU Green Deal industrial plan, and investigating Chinese subsidies that undercut European firms. Meanwhile, the global south becomes a new battlefield. China offers cheap green tech, while the US and EU promote friendshoring and finance packages to bring factories to India, Brazil, and Africa. In the next chapters, we unpack the EV story, how BYD, once an underdog, now challenges Tesla with cheaper models, why the US blacklists Chinese brands on security grounds, and how European automakers lobby for tariffs while racing to catch up. Then we look at the solar boom, China's polysilicon capacity, the forced labor concerns in Xinjiang, and the US push to build clean supply chains elsewhere. We also ask, can green hydrogen become the next frontier? Both countries are investing billions, betting it could decarbonize industries like steel and shipping. But who will lead? Technology, price, policy, and global partnerships will decide. And what does it mean for consumers? Cheaper EVs, lower electricity bills, but also trade-offs. Tariffs can raise costs. While rushing local production can slow deployment, we explore expert views. Some see a divided world with parallel supply chains. Others see managed competition, where countries still trade but keep critical industries at home, and some predict a tech Cold War spilling into climate solutions. Finally, we look to the future: AI-designed solar cells, grid-scale storage, next-gen nuclear, and smart grids that balance demand minute by minute. The green tech race is not just us versus China, it's a test of whose system can adapt, scale, and innovate faster under pressure. As we close, remember, this isn't only about trade balances or market share. It's about reshaping the energy that powers every home, car, and factory, and deciding who writes the rules for a net-zero world. Thank you for watching this deep dive from Trade War Daily. Subscribe for daily updates on the world's biggest economic rivalry, from tariffs to tech bans to the battle for clean energy supremacy, because the fight to lead in green tech will shape jobs, security, and climate for billions, and it has only just begun.